Now for our first panel discussion of the day, titled Strategic Partnerships Building Success Together. Please welcome to the stage His Excellency Dr. Saleh Kharabsheh, Minister of Energy and Mineral Resources. Mr. Samir Anis Mouasher, Executive Vice Chairman of Environmental New Elements Company. Mr. Gosuke KATAYAMA, Managing Director of Mitsui & Co. in the Amman Liaison Office. Mr. Aleksandar NAYDENOV, Global Sales and Marketing at DG Takano, Japan. And of course, our moderator, Dr. Duraid Mahasne, Chairman at Idama Association.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry we are a bit late. I thought today, as it is a Japanese-Jordanian panel, we'll have clear technology and prompt and exact timing. We are a bit delayed, so I would cut short my speech and I would ask my colleagues so that we would cut short and have 5 minutes each. I have a distinguished panel with me today. Luckily, the Minister of Energy is able to attend, and I would save time and not extending my speech and allowing each to introduce himself when speaking for the first. Definitely, when the most important issue we have in Jordan are two topics that are related to environment, and those are water. We are one of the scarcest countries in water availability in the world. Secondly, energy. And don't mind that we have an excess of energy. We would always be in need of energy. And unfortunately, energy is something you can import while you cannot import water. So luckily, we have guests from Japan to speak about all 2 or 3 topics, including the climate change. But yet I would start with our distinguished friend and guest, the Minister of Energy, who would talk to us about how do we supply the energy and what is the energy transition. We would allow questions after all the speakers finish. And Mr. Kharabsheh, please.
Well, thank you. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Duraid. And let me start by thanking the organizers for organizing this event, speaking about energy sector, and I'm encouraged to talk about it, going back to the last slide of the survey, that one of the most promising sectors for future investment, number 1 was the energy sector. And as most of us might know, Jordan, when it comes to energy resources, is dependent on imports, and that what forced us over the years to focus more on our local energy resources. And when we speak about local energy resources, we speak about renewable energy resources. Renewable energy sector in Jordan today is a very well developed, thanks to the wise decisions, policies that have been taken by previous governments and over many years. Today, according to the Arab Future Energy Index, Jordan ranked number 1 among Arab countries when it comes to the percent or ratio of renewables if we exclude hydropower in the electricity mix. Some 29% of our electricity comes from renewable energy resources, and we are determined to maintain this momentum to continue our leadership, strong leadership in renewable energy development in the region. And today, we will utilize this and use it to develop the fuel for the future, green hydrogen. Jordan will continue to play that leading role. When it comes to green hydrogen, we already developed our strategy. We have draft green hydrogen strategy with a vision to promote Jordan as regional epicenter for green hydrogen and power to X products. We'll focus on 5 areas, and I think that we have all ingredients, all what is needed for Jordan to become a regional center for green energy production and export, not only within the region, but also for other parts of the world. Today, we all know that we pass through the energy transition, the challenges that we face in climate change, the commitments from different countries to reduce their carbon dioxide emission. That energy transition, nobody knows today how long it will take, but it's, I think, our job, all of us, to try to expedite the transition process and to cross that transition stage as fast as we can. And also taking this opportunity, speaking about energy transition, we all know that renewable energy equipments, whether it's PV panels, whether it's wind turbines or batteries, among other equipments, will require some material that we don't have it as of today. Some reports say that if we were to achieve our targets for energy transition, we'll probably need to mine 10 times the mining that we do today. Today, we are trying to promote our mining sector, and we also in the process of finalizing our mining strategy. So far, we succeeded in marketing number of investment opportunities in mining sector, especially focusing on critical metals that are needed for different energy equipments. We have number of MOUs, number of companies already on the ground working, trying to explore what we have when it comes to rare earth elements, lithium, copper, gold, among other critical metals that we all know that we will need more. And today we all also know that it's more or less dominant by some very limited number of countries. We need to diversify that supply to again help us move in our energy transition. We will have number of excellent opportunities when it comes to investment in renewable energy for green hydrogen production, and also for the materials and metals that are needed for the manufacturing or the production process of green hydrogen or green ammonia. As my colleague, Minister of Investment, mentioned, that our investment business environment law offers a very generous incentive package for new investments. And I hope that through this forum, we can talk more about those opportunities, and we can build on the already strong partnership with Japan and to take it one step forward. I'll stop here. Dr.
Thank you.
We'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Kharabsheh. Your Excellency, you were brief and to the point. One of the points His Excellency mentioned was the minerals. And we only know in Jordan mostly of potash and phosphate. Are there any more minerals? I think Mr. Samer Mouasher would attend to that. Samer is the Vice Chairman of the new environmental elements, and his speech or his focus would be mostly on minerals. Please.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. My name is Samer Mouasher, and I represent the Environmental New Elements Company, which is a Jordanian company focused on the development of resources in critical minerals in around the country, all the way from exploration to mining and on to processing, trying to make the link between what is required in the world for the energy transition and what we have in the ground in different parts of the world. So the most critical of minerals, as you probably all know, different countries, including Japan, our friends here, launch every year a list of about 20 to 50 different minerals that they count as critical, they call critical. The reason they call them critical is that without them, a lot of our new technology cannot happen. The most important of those, or the most prevalent and ones that we all hear about in the news, are a group of 17 minerals called rare earth elements, which are really used for mostly the manufacturing of magnets, super high power magnets, and other technologies that are required in our energy transformation and transition strategies around the world. So I have this interesting slide which I would like to share to you. If we start with the right hand of the slide, We have clean power generation, zero-emission vehicles, and advanced manufacturing, especially in space and defense. So every single one of those three industries that are essential for our progress in the next 20 years has batteries included in it, fuel cells, either using wind or PV cells. They have traction motors, motors that are used for everything from turbines to cars to any type of moving parts in a big robotic structure or manufacturing structure. Robotics and drones, UAVs, 3D printing, and the ICT industry in general, semiconductor industry especially. I think we've all seen in the news in the last couple of weeks a lot of news about the semiconductor problems around the world and the lack of critical minerals required for the progress that we need. So on the left list, we see the list of items and elements that some of you, I'm sure, have seen many of these elements. So in Jordan, we have a really rich mineral resource, and we have a number of these elements on the left sitting in the ground. Some of them come out of our phosphate and potash industry. That's one of the leading industries in the world. And others are still sitting in different layers of the country. So on the mining side, I want to say that the problem around the world has been that for the last 15 or 20 years, there has been almost a monopoly to the development of that from the mining perspective. Only one country around the world was controlling almost 99% of the mining. In the last 10 years, this monopoly has subsided a little bit, down to about 60% of the global mining and mine control around the world. But that's not great news. Those 40% that the rest of the world is producing, we want to categorize into these four layers of the industry. From the mining on the inside ring of this graph, we see that about 60% is actually owned by one country and about 40% the rest of the world. However, all of these ores are moving into the second ring, which forms the separation technology. And then onto the third ring, where the refining, so making the element more pure, that it is pure enough that it can go into the magnet manufacturing, for example. The green component in the graph in the outer ring is Japan. Japan offers the world a ray of hope in this industry, a ray of hope to break a monopoly, and a ray of hope for countries like Jordan with the mineral resources to be able to come onto the local markets. So this is another piece of information that we have based on our monazite ore, a mineral that is found in Jordan, which we have been working with over the last 6 years. So if Jordan were to, at the bottom of the chart, you will see the ore deposit. If we were taking the ore out of the ground and selling it on the international market, we would not be able to source more than $2.75 per kilogram, sorry. As you move downstream, which is up in this graph, you see that the value add to the country goes up dramatically. However, from the separated oxides in the middle of the graph and going up into the metal, there is a lot of market manipulation happening. By market manipulation, I mean that every time a new ore is being opened from a mine around the world, the owner of the separated oxides reduces the price of the ore in the ground. And so the mine goes out of business. It's really incredible that we've allowed this to happen. Jordan, as I've said, I think has a lot of these resources. I won't get too much into that data because this will be presented later. What we are suggesting here is a partnership between Jordan and Japan, where Japan is an owner of the battery and magnet industry. Japan is today in need of mine and ore locations, and they need a consistent supply. Jordan is able to give that because we need the downstream technology partner and the offtake agreement for critical minerals. And I'll stop here. Thank you very much.
That was very insightful. Maybe we can talk later about lithium. As we all know, we have lithium, but in small quantities in the Dead Sea. The next speaker is Mr. Katayama. Mr. Katayama is based here, and he represents Mitsui, a very renowned, good company, and he could tell us about the insight of how development and trends would be of energy in the near future, and in particular, in relation to Jordan. Please.
Did it work? Can you hear me? Okay, great. So let me go through the before that. Yeah, this one. Well, this one. Oh, okay. Let me go through our activities in Jordan. But before that, let me explain a little bit about our company. So that guy, you can look at the left side. That guy, he is our founder of our corporation. Looks like a Japanese samurai because it's the photograph of 150 years ago. 1876, he was 27 years old, and he founded our company, Mitsui, headquartered in Tokyo, Japan. And that time, he built our company with his colleague, 16 people. That means our company was completely startup venture firm at that time. And the business was, at that time, business was mainly trading, but today we have been extending our business. So our business consists of 16 business units today. So metal and mineral, and infrastructure, energy, and machinery, and chemical, including agriculture and iron and steel, lifestyle like food and retail, and IT business. So I would say we focus on the growth through our business management and project development and trading, combining our diverse functions and resources. So we create a new business, bring new values, and achieve growth together with our partner. So today, we are a group of highly professionals located in 63 countries and regions. And today, here in Jordan, we have Amman office here today. So what do we do in Jordan? So today's topic, energy sector, I would say, Mitsui, we have multiple business here in Jordan, agriculture business and the chemical business and trading and investment in energy sector. So for today's topic, we can focus on power sector, our investment. So this one, left side, you can look at the Amman East IPP1. IPP means Independent Power Project, and this is the first project in Jordan, IPP project. And then we did investment in IPP4, and then the latest one is solar power. So the point is the IPP1, we did investment from private sector, the equity injection. But in addition to that, for this project, the Japanese government also providing the competitive, very competitive, the long-term financing debt. Financing. So that is provided by JBIC. JBIC stands for, as you know, Japan Bank for International Cooperation, 100% owned by Japanese government. That means these projects are fully supported by Japanese government and authorities such as MEDI. And so the point is, and in addition to that, today we are one of the shareholders of Yellow Door Energy, and through Yellow Door Energy, we do investment in here, so-called distributed power generation. So that I would say we have business and investment here, not only conventional thermal power plant, but also clean energy and also distributed power energy, distribution power energy here. So this is from my side, and I would say for future business and investment, I would say of course, we are willing to have active discussion with our partner in here, Jordan, for future investment, and that should be, of course, based on our existing partnership and activities here in Jordan. I mean, strong relationship with Jordan government, MEMR, and for power sector, NEPCO, how we can build a strong relationship on the existing business. That's a key, not only for Mitsui, but also as a representative, all of Japanese companies are thinking that that is important. So based on the contract and smooth communication and transparent information sharing with the relevant companies and the government in Jordan, that's a key for our future investment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The last speaker is Aleksandar NAYDENOV, and Aleksandar would speak to us about water. Needless to say, this is a very important and critical issue in Jordan, and there had been so much in technology and the development in technology aspects in how to get water. One of the issues we always debate about, do we have water underground in Jordan or we don't? How can we achieve that? There is a particular thing in Jordanians. If you are working in the mineral authority and you retire, you immediately would talk about so much of gas underground. Once you're in the water authority and you retire, you talk about so much water underground. Why, for God's sake, you didn't dig and take that out? Now, technology is the key, and that's why we want to know from you, how can Japan help a country in need of water like Jordan in technology? Please.
Thank you very much, Doctor. And yes, we talked today about energy, we talked today about minerals as well, but all of those things require water. And that's why our motto is, as you can see here, save water, save the world. Because really everything we have, it requires water, from our clothes, our shoes, all of our food. Almost every product that we use today requires a lot of water to make. So water scarcity is a challenge, and it's a challenge not just for Japan, not just for the Middle East as a region, it's a challenge for the whole world, and it's a challenge that requires a universal approach, a challenge that we need to face together. Now, I assume that for most of the participants here, the issues that Japan faces with regards to water and the issues that the Middle East faces are probably very different. But I'm here to talk to you that the underlying issue, in and of itself, is not that different at all. So before that, just a very brief overview about us. We are DG Takano, and we are the biggest, the #1 manufacturer of complete water-saving solutions in Japan. And just to give you an idea of the scope, every year our customers save almost as much water as Osaka City uses for 1 month, all of the whole city. So just to give you an overview of the issues in Japan. The main issue in Japan, of course, 80% of Japan is mountainous. So getting water to every point has been historically difficult. And of course, nowadays we have the issues with aging infrastructure, and Japan's population, everybody knows, is a growing society, and that causes a lack of know-how. Now, the solutions that we have come up in Japan as a country is basically twofold. Either use less water, so basically what comes out of the tap is less, or the tap cuts in and of itself. So if you've been to Japan, if you've been to any Japanese airport, any Japanese public station, you notice that all the showers, all the public faucets, they cut off after a couple of seconds of use. And that's in order to save water. So that's how Japan tackles the problems. Now let's see the situation in the Middle East as a general, not just Jordan. So in the Middle East, of course, the climate and the area is very arid, and that's issue in and of itself. But when it comes to aging infrastructure, the issue is, again, very similar. And the Middle East has the opposite problem of Japan. So the population is increasing a lot, and there is not enough know-how to answer that demand. So the solution that the Middle East in general approaches is to basically make more water available through desalination, being the world's leader when it comes to desalination. So you can see that the underlying issues, again, not that different, but the solutions are very different because of the different mindset in the different societies. So in Japan, the solution is to change user behavior. In the Middle East, the solution is make more water resources available, but keep the current lifestyle. And the reason for that is both of these solutions, they have their benefits, but they also have their drawbacks. And the reason they have their drawbacks is because they're not universal. They're narrow to a certain region, to a certain country. So in Japan, the problem that we have is these solutions, they save water, but they place a lot of burden on the user. So the user has to modify their behavior, has to spend more time at the sink. And the biggest problem is, you can imagine in a busy restaurant like the restaurant in this hotel, can you imagine if they need to spend maybe 5 minutes washing a plate? Of course, they cannot do that. So the biggest users cannot actually implement the solutions that we have in Japan. And in the Middle East, of course, desalination is a big help, but it causes its own sort of issues, which are mostly ecological, and also it's still expensive. Even the most efficient desalination plant, it's expensive to maintain, and it's expensive to build and to keep. So what we propose? We propose a universal approach which works everywhere around the world. And I want you to just think for a second about how you use water every day. So when you took your last shower, when you washed your hands recently, do you actually need all the water that comes from the tap? No, of course not. Like 80 to 90% of that water is actually waste. But what we need is the cleaning power. So we need to get our business done quickly. And so what if we could have a solution which saves 80 to 90% water, and at the same time, it keeps the same cleaning power or increases it? And that's the solution that we have at DG Takano. So as you can see here on the right side is our product compared to a normal faucet. In the same time that it takes to fill in a cup with a normal faucet, with our product, you get to do that only 10%. So you save 80% of all water used. Now, the next question is, of course, how much is it going to take for me to wash things? And the answer is that the cleaning power is actually better with our product. So not only do we save 80% water, we also improve cleaning performance. So this means it can be implemented directly to core business activities. Let me go to the next slide. And that's why in Japan, our solution has already been quite widely implemented. So that includes maybe 80% of all big restaurant chains in Japan, because they can put it directly in their kitchen where they use most of their water. Also 50% of most supermarket chains in Japan. Also infrastructure projects, and also the Japanese military even. But that's not enough for us, because we have a global mindset, and we want this solution to be available around the world. And this form that we have made it into, it's specifically tailored for the Middle Eastern region for the water quality and for the water infrastructure issues that are particular to this region. So if we save 80% of the water that comes out of the tap, how else can we save more water in our day-to-day activities? Well, what if we could spend less time doing the washing? So if we take how we wash plates, I know many of you here probably have maids doing that, but how do they wash a plate? Of course, they need to use a lot of detergent, they need to follow certain steps, they need a lot of power, and all that time the tap is running. So what if we could cut that time to just 1 second? And that's what we have done with our self-washing plates, as you can see here. So on the right side is our product, and you can see the same time with just water, it can wash oil, it can wash food stains, it can wash even, as you'll see in the next video, lipstick stains. And for example, we had a very good typical Arabic lunch today at our hotel, and every type of food that is used there, we can wash in about 1 second with just water. So very quickly, and you can see all the bacteria, all the oil stains, they're cleaned under a black light completely. Japan has very rigid standards when it comes to that. So just for a second, I want you to imagine the impact of all those solutions together. So if, we all know that the Middle East is one of the most water-scarce regions in the world, and by 2040, this would only increase. So what we want to do is to try to hold this progress or even reverse it. And to do that, if we can save 80% of the water coming through the tap, and if we can spend 98% less time washing, then we can save almost 99% of all water that we use in our kitchens, where we use most water. And if we can do that, imagine how water efficient our cities would be. And if we can do that, we can implement this solution anywhere. So that includes hospitals, schools, private residences, supermarkets, restaurants, everywhere you can imagine. And if we can do that in all these locations, the city of the future, and this is our vision, that the city of the future will use 99% less water compared to today. And the background, we've deliberately used the city in Jordan because we want to implement that not just for Japan, but for all of the Middle East. And we've already done that to a degree in Saudi Arabia. We've collaborated with the local government, we've collaborated with research institutions, and we're going to start our biggest pilot project in a couple of days. And that's why we're here in Jordan today, because we want to implement this solution, these kinds of solutions in Jordan as well. And we'll be very glad if we can talk with more of you later today. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexander. In Japan, they use technology to make water goes less. In Jordan, for a week, you don't have it. So the government cuts it and uses their own technology. That allows us now time for a short session of questions addressing the panelists, please, because we're late already. So any questions to any of the panelists, mainly the minister who has to leave? If not,
Sorry, Dr. Duraid, we will not have time for questions, unfortunately, because we are behind.
Thank you very much.
Sorry.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm sorry, but there is a networking session right now in the coffee outside and refreshments. So please join us for a coffee break. And thank you for that remarkable discussion and for all your insightful input. We will convene back at 11:45, please. Thank you.